All right, guys, thank you for joining me on my video today. You could have clicked on to anything else and you landed here, and I appreciate that. Let's take time to think. So I ran across a story some months ago, and I stumbled across it again last night. And I thought it was pretty rich. I wanted to share it with you. I think it's profound, and I think it'll challenge you. And it's something that if you embrace, it could immediately make a difference. So you listen to this story very carefully. Open up your ears and just take it all in. Here's what it says. A friend of mine, a distinguished explorer who spent a couple of years among the savages of the upper Amazon, once attempted a forced march through the jungle. The party made extraordinary speed for the first 2 days, but on the third morning, when it was time to start, my friend found all the natives sitting on their haunches, looking very solemn and making no preparation to leave. They are waiting, the chief explained to my friend. They cannot move farther until their souls have caught up with their bodies. I can think of no better illustration of our own plight today. Is there no way of letting our souls, so to say, catch up with our bodies? If one thinks over the sort of life led in innumerable homes a generation ago, our immense speeding up in the process of living today is clear. People then, as we say, had time. Now, no one has time. This article, this little story here, was probably written 70 or more years ago. What would they think now? If they didn't think people were taking time now, if they didn't think people were taking time then, what would they think if they could see it now? What do people do with their time now? It's fixated on a screen. They're pushing out the world by putting earbuds in their ear. Customer service has become nil in a lot of places because people have lost the ability to communicate with others. We live in an age when well, just do it for yourself. Tap on a button and the groceries will come to your door. Or you can find what you want online. And this is the kind of speedy world we live in. It becomes less and less sensitive and more crass. And this rapid pace at which we live can make you soul weary, right? It's while people tune you out, it at the same time becomes more competitive. And you always wonder where you stand. Anxiety builds, worry frustrates, and you come to the end of yourself. You're spent, you're exhausted, and you don't know what to do. You need to be like these natives in the Amazon. You stop, you sit on your haunches, you don't go anywhere until your soul catches up with you. Let's talk about the soul for a little bit, for just a few minutes, because this is very important, I think. It kind of helps put things into perspective. See, I understand Scripture as authority because I believe in God. Okay, I believe God created man a living soul. Now, whether you agree with me or not, just listen to me out. Okay, just hear me out because I think you'll find this interesting one way or the other. Okay, so I believe God made man a living soul, but what does that even mean? Well, a soul is an immaterial thing. That's not really that hard to understand. That we have a body. See, God gave man three things: a body, a soul, and a spirit. And the body that you have is what your soul lives in. Your soul is who you really are at your core. It's who God made you as. But He gave this body to you for you to live in for a period of time because it is very expendable. All right? And it's how you communicate with the outside world. The world doesn't know you unless you have a body. And after the body dies, it can no longer communicate, and there's nothing left there for people to interact with. Okay? But the soul and the spirit continue to exist. And there's a difference between the soul and the spirit. They're very distinctive. Here's how I understand it. All right? Like I said, the soul is who you really are. It's immaterial. And the spirit isn't much different, except in its function, in its capacity. All right? reading scripture carefully, here's what happens. Man's soul is God conscious. It can communicate with God. All right, it has the ability to communicate with God. Man's spirit is self-conscious. He communicates with himself. All right. If you have any doubts about that, read the book of Psalms. As David talks, when he talks about basically talking to himself, communicating with himself, he refers to his spirit. And there and anywhere else in the Bible, when man communicates with God, it's always his soul. Okay? So there's a distinct difference. And this is one of the major distinctions between man and animal. I watch some YouTubers I respect a lot that do content similar to mine. I mean, coming from a different angle, of course. But there are some things I have disagreements about. One of them is that some of these guys will say, "Well, we're animals. You have to understand we're animals, and this explains, the evolutionary process explains why we need to do certain things." No, we're not animals. No, we're not animals. Animals don't communicate with God. They can't contemplate life choices. Okay? They can't look down deep inside themselves and work on themselves. They can't petition a higher being. Well, the higher being might be you, right? Your dog might want food and it's asking for it in its own way, right? So in that way they do. But you know what I'm talking about. All right? So that's the distinctive difference. It's a precious gift that you have. The soul, the spirit, and the body. It's very precious. And it needs to be taken care of. All right? So when your soul is weary, you are becoming tired and exhausted down at the deepest level. And we need to figure out what we need to do to refresh ourselves, to regain strength, to build momentum once again, to move forward in an effective way that won't use us all up. All right, here's what you do. Here's what I believe that you do. All right, I think the number one thing is to learn how to detach. Learn how to detach physically. First of all, let's go through one thing at a time. Learn how to detach physically. That might mean that you need to take a break from work. That's why we take vacations. Oftentimes vacations are more stressful though. But what I mean is, even people who are fitness gurus will tell you that you probably shouldn't work out every day, right? And there's a reason for that, because you need to give the body a break. Okay, but you need to take a break physically from things. There are times when sitting on the sofa and vegetating is not altogether bad. You hear people talking about that in a negative way. But should we be doing something all the time? I grew up in a home where if what you were doing wasn't constructive, it wasn't worth doing. And I can see my parents' point, but I think to some degree there comes a time when you do need to sit down and just do nothing. I don't think it's the answer all the time. By no means, no. But it's something that should take place after you have done too much. Okay? And that's what these natives did. You need to detach mentally and emotionally from a lot of things. Perhaps you're experiencing a lot of negativity in your life coming from other people. Okay? Maybe it's the people closest to you in your family. Maybe it's the people that you work with. Maybe you work in an industry like mine where you have a customer base that sees you as a bill and are immediately confrontational with you upon arriving. And these things can be taxing. There are times when I feel like I just need to get away. But when I say detach emotionally and mentally, what I mean is learn how to stop responding to everything. It's the obligation to react and the obligation to respond. And now, responding is not altogether bad. You want to respond more than you react, but sometimes you need to stop doing both. Take time to not say anything sometimes. Take time to just step back, retreat within yourself, and allow yourself to do nothing. Okay? Sometimes that's where you find the answers. And let things play out as they will. And here's why we become exhausted. We see things crashing down around us, and we think, how can I stop this? How can I prevent this thing from completely disintegrating in front of me? Perhaps it's a relationship. Perhaps it's a job. Maybe things aren't going down as you thought they should. How do I stop all this? You see the world, we see literally the world collapsing around us, right? In so many different ways. We think to ourselves, how do we stop it? Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just need to accept it. You think that's horrible, Greg. Maybe it's meant to be. And maybe you're going to be okay. But you haven't detached enough to even contemplate that. Detaching mentally and emotionally also helps you just sit back and just, while doing nothing, it frees your mind up to begin to look inward and take personal responsibility for what you've done right and what you've done wrong. And then and only then, once your mind has rested from all these other things out there, you can begin to focus on these other things, and you can begin to move forward in a way that's effective. Okay, so that's a good place to start, is learn how to detach emotionally, mentally, and physically. Get in touch with yourself spiritually. That's why we talked about the spirit. Get in touch with yourself spiritually. Have you ever, when you've been at your wit's end, have you ever taken the time to talk to yourself? You know, I think the majority of people do talk to themselves. And I think you can get away with it very easy now in this day and age because no one will judge you, right? It used to be that if you were driving down the road and you saw someone talking to themselves, you kind of snicker and laugh and tap on the person next to you and you point at this person and go, look, they're talking to themselves. You can do it now and get away with it. No one thinks anything of it because of hands-free technology, right? Spend some time talking to yourself, but be honest with yourself because no one else is listening anyway, right? So you can do that. So be honest with yourself, learn to communicate, go inside yourself and be your own best friend. Be your own support system because, brother, let me tell you something. In life, you're going to find out that in many cases, no one will come to your aid. No one will rescue you. You have to rescue yourself. So learn to communicate with yourself. And last of all, if you can embrace it, if it's for you, if you can embrace it, and it may not be, you may not feel the way I do, you may not think the way I do, and that's okay. I'm not going to judge you for it. I'll still call you friend. I'm not here to convince you otherwise, but communicate with God. Throw all of your cares upon Him. That's what He's there for. That's what He wants to do. He does. If anybody's going to come to your rescue, it's going to be Him. And that's what you need to understand. He wants to do it. All right, guys, I hope this has helped. I hope this has been something that will help you reflect and hopefully start, embracing today. Apply it today. Because this may be the very thing that you needed to hear. And perhaps you know somebody else that does need to hear it. It's coming just the nick of time. Share it on your social media and maybe send it in an email to somebody. I think it'll be something powerful. All right. Guys, if you are looking for good beard product recommendations and savings, look in the description below. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, why? Why haven't you done so yet? Listen, I have a lot of content that I think that you can glean from. So check that out. And if you feel so compelled, you want to donate to this channel to help support my endeavor, then check out the PayPal link below also. Guys, I've enjoyed it. I wish the best for you, and I hope this has meant a lot. I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.